Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and tonight I'm going to get right back into the scam series. In fact, I have a lot more scams coming up, but this one is not going to be a surprise. And one of the biggest schemes that I've seen has been, well, if it's done right, it's not a scam. But however, you have a lot of desperate people that are looking to make quick money. And what I'm going to talk about are property scams, known as house flipping or flipping houses. Now, if you've seen shows like HGTV, and there are other shows that come on, all these other cable networks, they deal with flipping houses. Now, again, real estate can make a ton of money. But when there is an opportunity to make a ton of money, there are always predators out there that are trying to become greedy. And they want to use the idea of scamming desperate people. And one of the reasons why I have come up with the scam series on my channel is to make sure that you don't become a victim of predatory lending. You don't become a victim of somebody scamming you by stealing your information, because basically once they steal your information, they can get into your bank account. Now, with property lending, they're really, or property scams, property flipping, because there are mortgage scams too. Don't forget that mortgage and property go hand in hand. Everything is real estate. But regardless, when it comes to flipping houses, although it sounds nice, everybody can't do it. But there are a number of people out there who are scammed by individuals trying to overprice houses, illegally remodel houses, so they can get buyers in those houses by taking their money. And remember, when you occupy a house has to be inspected. Now, I'm not knocking real estate, but flipping houses can be a scam. And if you're not careful, you're going to become a victim. Time to share the screen and let's talk about it. So, what is property flipping? I call it flipping houses. Well, property flipping, or simply flipping, is a type of investment strategy wherein a real estate investor, what they do, they purchase property and then they resell it at a higher value in order to make a profit. So basically, in general, property flipping usually involves three steps. Number one, you purchase a piece of property, such as land or other real estate. Then you make improvements on a property purchase to increase its value, which includes remodeling, landscaping, and you have renovations. And after that, you resell the improved property within a short time frame from when it was initially purchased. Again, you have to put everything together. You purchase the property, then you make improvements on the property, and then you sell the property. Now, generally, when it comes to selling a house, it could take a short time, or property could take a short time, or it could take a long time. Now, property selling or Flipping houses is a widespread practice throughout the real estate industry. As long as it's done correctly, property flipping is legal. In fact, the person can earn a decent and legal living through the practice of property flipping. However, there's one major concern, and the fact is that property flipping entails some financial risk. And again, when performed legally, property flipping can offer other advantages, such as restoring a rundown business in a district or residential neighborhoods. So let me give you an example. I live here in Indiana. So if I go and purchase a house in Gary, Indiana for $1, fix it up, I can resell it. Now, if I get 10 or 12 other people to do the same thing, what that does is it creates the restoration of a community, a business district. And these are things that an entire neighborhood can benefit from. For example, when an old neighborhood undergoes renovations, it may attract new residents, which in turn may attract new businesses to open in that area. New businesses create jobs and increase revenue for local governments through what? Property taxes. Now, the unfortunate side effect of what seemingly sounds like a positive concept is what we know as gentrification, which is the process of changing a poor neighborhood to attract wealthier businesses and residents, therefore forcing its current inhabitants to relocate elsewhere. And that's going on in a lot of big cities. Now, while taking on a high financial risk and gentrification, there are two significant drawbacks to property flipping. Neither is illegal. Now, again, I'm not knocking flipping houses because property flipping only becomes illegal when fraud and other unlawful schemes are involved in a process. So therefore, you may want to consider consulting with a real estate lawyer before engaging in any property flipping practices. Now, a lawyer can help to ensure that your actions are above board and in compliance with laws. Now, with all that being said, why or when does property flipping become legal? Illegal. What I gave you was the legal part. Again, there's nothing wrong with flipping houses. Nothing wrong with making a profit. Again, as I review everything, going up, buying bad houses or bad properties, you put money into them, you resell them, you want to attract new people. Again, wealthier people bring more taxes to local governments, which in turn bring better services or more services to a community. Now, again, when does property flipping become illegal? Now, again, not all forms of property flipping are illegal. In fact, there are even television shows and websites that provide tips on how to flip your house properly. However, there are certain instances when property flipping may become illegal. Here's an example of illegal property flipping, which might be illegal. And this is when a property flipper inflates the listing price of a home on making improvements, but never actually did. So, in other words, you think about this. They're inflating a listing price, or underneath they're inflating the price. Now, here's what happens in such situations. A seller will often hire a property appraiser to rate the property at a higher value than its actual worth. So, in actuality, the flipper, they'll tell you they inflate the price, but they're usually getting a house appraised. So the appraiser is actually going to appraise the house or the property higher than its actual worth. Now, alternatively, this type of scam may also be carried out by a property appraiser and a real estate broker. Now, regardless of other parties, the buyer is usually the only one who is not aware of the scam. This is because those who engage in illegal property flipping typically target buyers who wish to purchase a new home, but know they can't afford to buy it outright or will not be approved for a mortgage loan because of bad credit. Now, what happens is the scammers, well, the scammers also attempt to fool victim buyers by offering to lend them money for a down payment or getting them a mortgage loan despite their poor credit history. Sometimes a scammer will go ahead and allow the buyer to move in without making any upfront payments. Now, when that happens, the light bulb better go on in your head and say, this is a scam because that's too good to be true. Now, how can someone avoid being a victim of an illegal property flip? Well, one way that an individual can avoid becoming the victim of a scheme involving house flipping that's illegal or an illegal property flip is by hiring their own property appraiser. Now, if you're not familiar with real estate, a property appraiser has to be licensed, and a property appraiser is a type of professional whose expertise involves determining the value of a particular piece of property. So, without the assistance of a property appraiser, it can be extremely difficult to evaluate land or real estate since it requires a certain skill set. So, basically, a property appraiser may also be able to expose an illegal property flip while they are performing an evaluation of the property in question. So, some signs that may indicate that a property is not worth its sticker price includes the following, I call them issues. Well, the mortgage lender or seller ignores or refuses to answer questions regarding the condition of the property and its sale price. The person in charge of the sale transaction is not the owner or does not represent the owner of the property. The property is more expensive than the price of other properties being sold in the same location. You can say the surrounding neighborhood. The seller promises the buyer that they may make certain repairs on the property, but refuses to incorporate those guarantees as part of the sales contract. Again, the seller promises the buyer that they can make certain repairs on a property, but they refuse to incorporate the guarantees as part of the sales contract. Also, the seller tells the buyer, again, the seller tells the buyer that the property is available for immediate use or before the transaction is complete. Now, again, when it comes to buying a property, it has to be inspected. Now, in addition, an individual can provide a correction. An individual can also avoid becoming a victim of an illegal property flip by ensuring that the mortgage loan is not fraudulent. Again, an individual can also become the victim of an illegal property flip by ensuring that their mortgage fraud or their mortgage loan is not fraudulent. Think about this now. Most people become victims because they don't really understand what's going on. I mean, you see it in the car industry, you see it when you have to finance or invest in something. And most of all, people don't read the fine print. So, again, in addition, individual, when it comes to being a victim, they can avoid being a victim of an illegal property flip because with knowledge, they can ensure that their mortgage loan isn't fraudulent. Some factors may suggest that a mortgage loan may be fraudulent, and they include a mortgage loan application is partially complete or it contains wrong information about the buyer. For instance, you have some important data missing, like the buyer's name and other important details. Or the income. The application provides the wrong income or an income that is much higher than what the buyer actually earns for a living. And also, the application does not list the buyer's debts. So, what happens after that? Something else. Well, the seller asks to be in charge of arrangements that are typically a buyer's responsibility, such as obtaining the loan, performing an inspection, and settling the loan payments. The seller dissuades the buyer from getting advice from outside, unaffiliated, or independent sources like a lender or a lawyer. The seller also convinces the buyer that they can get them a mortgage loan despite the fact that the buyer has bad credit. Remember what happened back in 2008, countrywide loans? You had people who weren't qualified to get loans, and they got loans and they couldn't pay them back. That's why we had the crunch of 2008. Also, the seller offers to gift the buyer the money for closing costs or as a down payment. The seller deliberately gives the buyer false information about loans or the real estate market. Lastly, I'm just going to say this. Be sure to check things like an appraiser's or real estate broker's license and accreditations. Reading online reviews from other home buyers about a particular service or individual can also help in avoiding illegal property flipping schemes and fraudulent mortgage loans. Now, here's a question. Should you hire an attorney if you believe you've been scammed? Well, I'm going to say yes. So, if you believe you are the victim of an illegal property flipping scam or mortgage loan fraud, you should contact an attorney right away because an attorney who has experience in dealing with such matters will be able to review the facts of your case, and they will also be able to determine whether you can file a lawsuit against the offending party. Your attorney can also recommend the best course of action based on the circumstances of your case, and an attorney can also discuss the remedies you may potentially recover if you decide to take action. In addition, your attorney can answer any questions you may have about your case, and also an attorney can assist you in filing the necessary legal documentation in court. Finally, you need to appear in court. Your lawyer will be able to provide legal assistance as well. And this is what the fraudsters don't want you to do is get an attorney. Now, on the other hand, if you're being sued by someone claiming you committed mortgage loan fraud or participated in an illegal property flipping scam, you should also speak to an attorney immediately about the issue, since you could end up facing serious legal penalties. Again, you who are scamming out there, you need to get you an attorney as well, because flipping houses is not illegal, but it's the scams, predatory scams. You have appraisers that aren't accredited. You have people claiming that they can lend you money. You know, a lot of what goes on in America, in every area that we work, whether it's real estate, accounting, there's always some fraudster trying to be predatory so they can get an advantage to make more money. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get into a video on why house flipping is a scam. This is for educational purposes only. Fair use. Again, what he's doing, he's going into how you make money flipping houses. He's not getting into the illegalities. They're different methods. Now, when you're going to do any type of investing, and I'm not a real estate mogul, there are other individuals like this gentleman. He knows a heck of a lot more than I do. With each and every type of scam out here that I do here on the 411 Talk Zone radio show is happening, and individuals are trying to make money. Now, with house flipping, if I'm looking at it two ways, where he actually made up the $30,000, I would actually go for the rent because after you make up that $30,000, when all the expenses are paid in 3 years, everything else goes in your pocket. Now, what he's going to do is give you a more clear explanation of why flipping houses is a scam. Now, before I go on with the video, you always want to have assets. See, when you have liabilities, they actually take money away from you. There's an accounting equation. I believe it's owner's equity equals assets minus liability. In other words, in order to make something work, you're going to have to put some capital into it. But if you have more expenses, which are liabilities, that end up exceeding the amount of capital that you put into something, guess what? You're going to end up broke. And generally, when it comes to flipping houses, and this is what I've seen of it, it can be quick money. And during these days, individuals don't want to wait because investment, it can take time. But you have individuals, they want the money right away. And they don't understand about, let's say, a retirement. Go and withdraw money early before you're at a certain age, let's say 60, you're going to incur a penalty. Some people don't know that. Now, again, I'm not saying flipping houses is bad. I'm just giving you an idea of how it can be a scam if you're not looking. Fair use. Let's continue. Well, that gentleman right there, subscribe to his channel. This gentleman was very concrete about showing you how everything works. Now, I'm going to go ahead and present another video because I like to give you some real insight because there are a lot of people who are interested in real estate out there, but they don't know about it and they don't know if they're being scammed. Fair use, these videos are for educational purposes only. And just before I go on, real estate is a lot of work. Now, he just mention rental properties. Now, I played these two videos because I'm getting two different perspectives. But even with both perspectives, there's scams involved. Now, this second gentleman, subscribe to his channel as well. As I said before, flipping houses, if you do it right, is not a scam. What there are scams involved with it. And what I'm here to tell you is something that sounds so good to be true is not so good. And everything you do, you have to put work into it. Now, there are a lot of individuals out here that look at flipping houses as making, yes, it's making quick money, but you got to know how to do it. But when you get in that mindset of being desperate, this is when you make mistakes. Let's continue. Fair use. There you go. Like I said, when it comes to real estate, you know how to do it, you can make money. I had to present the videos because I'm going to give you my humble opinion. Remember, if you've been watching my channel, I told you about Amway, multi-level marketing. Now, does it look like a pyramid scam? It can be. But in any business where you have to do selling, you got to put work into it. What makes property flipping a scam, in my humble opinion, just like the gentleman said, you have individuals who give you this promise that you don't have to do any work. Let me tell you, if you think you don't have to do any work when building a business and you've been given all this information from books and videos telling you, oh, this is quite easy, and they present to you like everything is easy, like they didn't have to do any work, run for the hills, that's a scam. And you have individuals that are trying to sell you their information so they can capitalize off of you. In reality, when it comes to making money, you have to do the work. Now, again, I've never flipped houses. There is some scam about it. And generally, all get rich schemes, and I'm talking about quick get rich schemes. When you come in desperate, you're going to make poor decisions. And I'm going to say this, there's a lot of information out there that's coming from people who are predatory. Their whole life is to tell you what you want to hear to make you feel good. And one thing about real estate, there are a lot of people in it. There's a reason why people are in it, because you can make money. But you have to sit back and look at the big picture. Is it rosy like everybody says it is? It's not. Because I guarantee, just because you are in real estate, there are a number of people who aren't making money. Now, what the second video forgot to present, that the first video did present, tax breaks. Yes, you can make money in a lump sum. Now, if I had to put the two together when it comes to investing, I'd rather rent out the property. Yes, you can make a lump sum real quick, but you're going to have to keep going out there making a lot of deals. And guess what? That's work. And if you see a lot of commercials about flipping houses, you don't know about flipping houses, and you're putting your money into something, sometimes you'll lose your money. Because basically what they're doing is some of them, they'll do little fixing up. And here's another scam that wasn't in the videos. They'll do little fixing up, or they'll do some band-aid work, and they can get an appraiser to overpraise the value of the house to get you to buy it. And you think you're getting something good. And all of a sudden, you have a lot of these problems. Now, once you buy the house, it's yours. And when you are in the house, you're responsible now, since it's yours, to fix everything up. It's just like buying a car that looks good. They clean it up. But they didn't tell you that there's still leaks in the oil pan. The engine block is cracked. No, they distorted everything. And that's where I'm getting at, where flipping houses is a scam. It's a lot of misinformation going out there. And when you are not disciplined in your thinking, in other words, utilizing your common sense, and I apologize, first of all, about the commercials that came on through the videos. The videos were for information only, so subscribe to those gentlemen's channels. If you come in with a wrong mindset, a desperation mindset, and I have to repeat that because a lot of people are desperate. So where do these scammers flock to? They don't flock to strong-minded people. They flock to weak people because they're in a desperate situation. Now, just like the second gentleman said, if you go into it with the mindset of desperation, you're going to create a scam once you get the information about flipping houses. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to be very clear. There's nothing wrong with flipping houses, but I'm just going to be honest. Not everybody can do it. And not everybody's going to be financially free. And the people who are generally successful are the ones who work at it. You do not get something for nothing, no matter how rosy it looks on the other side. There's a system / a method to do it. Now, are there people who are in the real estate business who've gotten away with scamming? Yes. There's scams in every business. But I'm a civil engineer. Are there scams? Is there a good old boy system in the design business? Absolutely. How do you bypass it? Well, you have to bypass it by understanding that you have to work at it. I've never seen somebody become an overnight sensation. And if they do, it's by luck. Rarely does that happen. And generally, you could be on top for maybe a night or a month and never be heard of again. Another question. How much do you have to pay for the flipping house information? Because you might have to pay for some type of kit. And if they make a promise to you after you invested your money, that's a problem as well. That's where the scams start to develop. Promises. So I'm just going to say this before I close out. If something is too good to be true, the light bulb better come on in your head with some common sense. Because again, if something is too good to be true, it is. If you don't believe me, look at how many people have gotten scammed out here. I'm not just talking about real estate, every type of scam. Everybody's been hosed one time or another. But some people go back for more because they haven't learned their lesson. But in the real estate business, I'm not expert, but common sense. Don't be desperate. Because when you're desperate, that's all the scam. And that's my commentary for the 401 Talk Zone. Well, that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some STEM information, which I do my STEM information, I'm going to try to keep everything a 401 Talk Zone radio show information on Wednesdays, my STEM information on Thursdays. Check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And after I pre-record all of my videos, I post them up on my Twitter page. Now for the QCIS channel, I go a step further. Since it is an educational channel, you can find that channel on my LinkedIn page. I'm talking about the QCIS channel. And in the end, bless for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Please know that the sun rises in the east sets in the West. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. Once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.